Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I hope you are all well. In this episode I will be talking about AI spiders. I'll be sharing my experiences when it first began, what I've learned, what my intuition and inner knowing has taught me about these spiders and their purpose and who sent them. And of course, with every video that I share or everything that I talk about, you know, um, take what resonates and leave the rest. Okay, we're all here figuring it all out. We're having these experiences, and sometimes these experiences don't make sense. I know a lot of my experiences that when I will eventually share probably won't make sense too much, but somewhere down the road eventually, I will make sense of them. And I have these experiences. I don't like to make assumptions and assume that I know it all and this and that. I'm not that type of person. I'm not the type of person either that's going to fill in the blanks and and come up with some I don't know, information to fill in the blanks. Like I say, a lot of the time with these experiences, sometimes I remember every detail, what the experience was about, the nature of the experience. And sometimes I just get little snippets, and I'm going months or years and I have another memory or an experience, and it will kind of help me, put those pieces together to build a picture and a puzzle. And it also helps as well when you bump into people, which I always say 9 times out of 10 is divinely guided or intervention, sorry. And, so certain people can cross our paths and, we share our experiences and they're like, oh my God, I had the same experience. You don't have to meet them physically, it can be online. And, that's kind of how we work together. We all have these experiences, we all have these little puzzles and we all connect with people and we just build a bigger picture of the very nature of these experiences and who's behind them and stuff like that. So like I say, regardless if you have little experiences or large, profound, small experiences, it doesn't matter because everyone's information experiences is just as important as the next person. So I just wanted to mention that as well. So yeah, let's dive into AI or astral spiders. So I'll start with when it first began for me. So, how many years ago? I don't always remember the exact years, guys, especially when you've been through a lot. It's hard to, keep tabs on the exact, time frame of when these experiences happen. But I'd say it was definitely before 2020. And one morning I woke up and I looked at the wall in front of me and I saw, well, at first I thought it was a real spider. That's what I saw, a spider. And it was pretty large. It was as large as my hand, and I've got quite large hands. And, so I'm still waking up, rubbing your eyes as you do, squinting, you know, and then you see the spider and then it slowly just, fades away. So yeah, again, when I first saw that, like with a lot of my experiences, I just think, I don't know, I'm very logical. I have a lot of common sense. I do, I don't assume everything is always, woo woo or something, supernatural or whatever you want to, or whatever bracket you want to put on these types of experiences. And my ego is a tough nut to crack, and this is why I have multiple experiences of the same thing, because yeah, my higher self is like, for Christ's sake, we will get through to her. Zoe, wake up, these experiences are real, that you're meant to be seeing these things, it's to help awaken you up, and all this kind of thing. But yeah, they do have a hard time with me. So they naturally come in threes. All my life things have happened in threes. So, and of course we know lower demonic beings, entities, they mock the Trinity, don't they? But anyway, yeah, it's always happened in threes. Except for the spiders, I've seen them a lot more than 3 times. But anyway, so yeah, I just ruled it off. Well, I didn't rule it off because I didn't know. I just thought I'm just dreaming, whatever. Get up, continue with my day, and then again another time I wake up, and instead of seeing one, I see groups of them. Now, they're very like astral-like, hence the term astral spiders. They can be very I always get confused with the transparent, translucid. I think they were translucid, lucid. Oh my god, guys, I'm having a problem with words already, and I'm barely 5 minutes in. Yeah, so sometimes they can appear really solid, and sometimes they're kind of like ghost like, astral like, you can see through them. Sometimes they're black, sometimes they're multicolored, sometimes they have a slight little glow to them. Sometimes they look like real spiders, sometimes they can be small and big, sometimes they can look very robotic and metallic. So yeah, and I'm not the only one that saw them. I remember years ago, my daughter, she fell asleep in my bed after watching a movie. She woke up. I woke up. She were looking at. Oh, that was it. I looked at the wall and I saw one of the astral spiders, and I turned to look at my daughter, and she got her eyes on it, and I said, "You can see it, can't you?" And she went, "Yeah." So I had to kind of educate her in what it was she was seeing and stuff like that. But she wasn't. She wasn't scared. She wasn't phased neither. So yeah, so it weren't just me that saw it. My daughter saw it, and I know my cat Angel sees them quite a lot. And sometimes I don't always see them. Sometimes I'll hear them. Sometimes as I'm just going to sleep, because when you're in that in between state, I call it like the, between asleep and wakefulness. You kind of, the veil's thin, and not just that, you kind of like you are, if you like, your consciousness, your astral body is kind of slipping into the fourth dimension, and so you're in that in between state, and that is where these AI astral spiders, hang around, as well as other things and entities and stuff like that. So most of the time, that's kind of when I'll experience, I'll hear them or see them again. I'm in that in between state, and sometimes not. Sometimes I can be, awake and see them, or mostly hear them. So I could be on my bed and I'll literally hear them scurrying and knocking like that. I don't know if you heard that, guys, like that, knocking my blinds, and I'll look, and sometimes I'll see the blind move, and I'm like, they're here again. Sometimes, in certain lighting, you can kind of see like shadows, in the corners, because that's where they come from. Just check my mic's still on. Which is interesting because obviously the shape of our houses are very square, which is done deliberate. It's so energy gets trapped in the homes, especially negative energy. And if we're not clearing and cleansing, opening the windows and purposely clearing the energy, that energy accumulates. So they not only feed off that energy, our energy that comes off us, especially if we're going through a hard time or a breakup or going through some kind of crisis or upset, that energy, it lingers, doesn't it? And it becomes stagnant and it sticks to the corner of the rooms. Now, these are, in my experience, these were negative. There are some positive, but I'll talk about a little bit about that in a little moment. But yes, so they feed off, the positive ones. I might as well speak about them just quickly. Just like spiders in our dimension, three-dimensional spiders. There are some that are very, just friendly, if you like. They're minding their own business. They're not going to come up to you and try and bite you and stuff. And then, of course, you've got those spiders that are very, not very nice, and they will, just bite you. So again, it's the same with these astral spiders. Can't really say so much for the AI spiders because they've got different agendas. But the astral spiders, just like we've got critters and spiders in our dimension, again, the fourth dimension have their own. And sometimes a lot of the critters and bugs and things look a lot like what we have in our dimension, and sometimes not. Sometimes they can look really weird and alien as well. And people have seen different things, not just spiders. People have reported on seeing, one person, I came across a video not too long ago, was saying they saw like a squid-like black thing, the shadow thing. Again, these are real astral beings. Now, if we were in the fourth dimension, we wouldn't see them as astral, we'd see them as solid. But because we're in this dimension, we will, they appear to us as like astral like. Same with spirits, as I mentioned before. Spirits are in the fourth dimension and other dimensions, but if they don't cross over, they usually dwell and hang around in the fourth dimension. Everything in that dimension is solid. It is as real as this. But because we're separate dimensions, we're kind of like overlapping. We're all sharing the same space, but we're kind of like, kind of like overlapping. They'll probably see us as ghosts, as astral light, and we see them as astral light. And sometimes they can appear solid, sometimes that's spirits and entities, and sometimes not. And also it depends on how our third eye perceives them as well. So it's very complex. It's not black and white, but I hope I've explained that well. So yeah, I often see them. They come from the corners of the rooms, which again makes sense. And oftentimes when I see them, they kind of freeze, and it's almost like they're thinking, "Oh shit, she saw me," and they'll either just stand there and fade out on purpose, or they'll scurry, they'll run off into the corners. And the closest that I've seen one, I mean, I'm sure it could have been a lot closer when I was asleep, but in waking state, when I was awake, the closest that I saw was literally that close away from me. And it was actually, I fell asleep with my laptop open, and it was actually resting on the laptop, staring at me. Again, as soon as I clocked onto it and it knew I saw it, kind of just, it scurried off. And what are they called? It reminds me of the Matrix movie, the AI robotic, weird squid-looking beings. What they call? They're called sentinels. I writ it down. Yeah, sentinels. And so which is going to, take me into the next bit that I want to share with you. So again, the Matrix, it's very real. We are living in this Matrix. It is an illusion. This Matrix was designed by the Archons, by the Dracos, the reptilians, and perhaps even powerful energies more powerful than them, but they work alongside, and some AI in there as well. So yeah, and they know we're waking up on the planet, and they don't want us to wake up. So a bit like the movie, these sentinels, they are like, they are protecting and preventing humans from waking up. And so they parole, that they surveillance and they monitor, basically the collective consciousness awakening. So souls that are on their spiritual awakening, or starseeds that are having their starseed activation, or just anyone in general, that are unraveling, the Matrix, and questioning things, and having epiphanies and light bulb moments, and making connections, and and things like that. Of course, when they do that, the more you wake up, the more you start to understand how the Matrix really works. So they don't want us to get to that level of consciousness awareness. They don't want us to know. They don't want us to be running around the planet. Hey guys, this is the Matrix. This is illusion. This isn't not real. That's not real. Everything you think, is happening in your life is actually orchestrated. Yeah. And of course, we do have free will. There is cause and effect, but a lot of, let's say, targeted souls, so volunteer souls, starseeds, whatever you want to call yourselves, a lot of the things that happen in our lives is orchestrated. It's manipulation through and through and through. Relationships, everything that's happened to us is being manipulated. This is why a lot of us have gone through a lot of trauma and traumatic events right from the get-go, because trauma, it suppresses you. Trauma can delay and slow down your spiritual awakening. It keeps you weak. It keeps you docile. It keeps you in a low negative state of being. And many of you know, if you're in a low vibration, you're not able to tap into who you really are, and remember who you are, and remember your mission, and start. It slows everything down. So, all that is done deliberate because they don't want us to wake up. Because if we wake up, we're going to see the illusion, we're going to see the matrix of what it is, we're going to see behind the veil and who and what's controlling it. And we're all going to get to that point. Every single one of us, regardless of who you are. It's just that the volunteer souls, star seeds, activators, the forerunners, boots on the ground. So those that go through their awakening first, we go through that ready, so then we can share our experiences, to help prepare you guys, because eventually, as you the deeper you get into your spiritual awakening, and start questioning things and start seeing glitches in the matrix and frigging, I don't know, grids, because there is the matrix grid, not just only the positive crystalline grid, which is holding which is assisting the spiritual awakening as well. So we have got positive and negative. Again, it's very polarized down here. We've got good beings, bad beings. We've also got the matrix grid as well, which is responsible for keeping a certain frequency on the planet. However, the matrix grid is breaking, it's crumbling, it's weakening because of the amount of souls and energies, positive energies out hitting the planet. It's we're kind of breaking out of that control system. And we're seeing things for what they really are. Some of us are further ahead and some of us are behind, and you've got to be prepared for these things, because when this matrix breaks or crumbles, we're going to see a lot of crazy things. There's already people coming forward, normal people. I want to say normal, I mean those that were asleep. I didn't really believe in life out there, or spirits, or energies, or extraterrestrials. I'm seeing people like that coming forward now and sharing their experiences. And this is what the archons and the reptilians and the dracos, they don't want. And they're losing control, they're losing power. And this is why they pump fear into the world, because again, fear controls us. Some of us. And they don't want that. And, they underestimated humans, they underestimated starseeds, they underestimated this collective consciousness shift and awakening. So, yeah. Again, I don't say this to create fear, but, the more you understand about the matrix, the more you see, the more you know, the more you've learned, the more you've studied, the more you've unraveled, the more crazy experiences you have, the more you're going to question. Your third eye is just going to crack open, and your discernment, is my discernment isn't spot on, by the way, guys. I'm on this journey again, with you guys, but as time goes by, our discernment will become a lot sharper. It will become a lot stronger. We will literally become human lie detectors. No one can deceive us. That's the point we're going to get. No one can't pull the wool over our eyes, and they can't deceive us. However, they will still try with deceiving and manipulation and stuff like that. But so, yeah, basically, these AI astral spiders, they are basically like basically what I said earlier. They have always been here. It's just we're able to see them because our third eye is open. So if your third eye is open, you're going to see these things. Of course, you go to the doctors. Oh, you're having hallucinations. It's this mental health. It's that mental health. I stopped going to the doctors a long time ago. Not that I'd ever shared any of that with them anyway, because I always knew that there is more to this reality, more than what our eyes and ears and mind believes and sees and feels. I've always known that. I knew that much. I knew we weren't the only ones here. I knew there were extraterrestrials, even before I had my own extraterrestrial experiences that I had, since I was a kid. Like, I was always naturally open-minded. So a lot of souls came down here with some seeds in place, some memory, some consciousness, memory and awareness. And so we knew, and because of that, we didn't easily trip and fall into these programs down here, or the school systems, or the laws. And we questioned everything. And yes, these groups have taken us, they've tried to affect our memories, erase what we've seen and erase what we know, and put technology on us and stuff like that. And it did work for a lot of time, especially in my late teens to early to mid 20s. After that, that was it. I just remembered, that they'd still tried and take me, of course, and Kanye West me, pumping drugs in me, stick me in a chair, all that crap. And sometimes for a short amount of time, I would forget, like I wouldn't know who I was. It was just gone. And then it would be like, I'd start remembering again. It'd be like I'm going through my spiritual awakening again. And so, the powers that they use on me, the drugs, the mind erasing technology, and God knows everything, and God knows whatever else they use, because I've got all sorts. It's not long lasting, and they don't like that. And their technology is no match to our frequencies, no match to these energies hitting the planet. So yeah, so the only way that they can control us and keep us or prevent us from waking up is pumping that fear. And this again, this is why there's so much fear in the world. Fear controls us. So yeah, so basically, like I say, that's what they are. And they're sent by these archons or my labs. They're everywhere all the time. And unless you've got a third eye, I mean, of course we've all got a third eye, but what I mean is, unless your third eye is open, you're not going to see them. And just be prepared, guys. You've got to have a strong psyche as well, because some people freak out, and some people believe that they've got paranoid schizophrenia. They go to the doctors, they get all these tablets, and they're doing all these videos on social media. Oh, guys, I'm really struggling right now. I've just been diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia, and I'm just like, oh, God, they got to you. They got to them. And I just hope and pray that the penny drops and they realise that actually no, it's not. They're actually seeing these real things. And a lot of the times these types of people don't believe in anything. They don't believe in energy, spirits. They're just very three-dimensional. And yeah, it's sad. It really is. Not everyone is going to unfortunately wake up. But anyways, that's why the souls like me are here, and to how unplug you from the matrix. How do we do that? By sharing our experiences, and of course we're not the only energies here that are helping, as I mentioned before. These light codes hitting the planets, and then you've all got your own higher selves as well that want you to wake up. You've got a soul agreement, you've got a mission. And so your higher selves are helping you as well, and assisting you and giving you signs and clues and synchronicity and angel numbers and all that stuff as well. So we're kind of just like bridges down here, way showers, planting some seeds by sharing our experiences. And I'm sorry if the camera is wobbling. It feels like it's wobbling, and I'm not touching it. So anyway, and so talking more about these AI and astral spiders. So, again, it isn't to fearmonger. It's just awareness is information. Awareness is power, and it's key. Because if you wake up one day and you see these, you'll be like, oh, I know about astral spiders because I watched Zoe's channel and she talked about it. It's not nothing to be scared about. So it takes that fear away when you understand what they are, and then you can, and also then you'll have the tools on how to protect yourself from these, spiders and things like that. So yeah, so what they do, they can and do, especially the negative ones, they can basically they can latch onto your chakras. They are especially our crown chakra. Again, makes sense. The third eye area, they can cause migraines, they can cause mental health, so anxiety, insomnia, depression, and you get those feelings of low self-worth, not feeling good enough. Now, of course, we naturally get that, of course, because of trauma. But, a lot of souls are very resilient, such as myself. I am an alchemist, naturally. I do alchemize. I do overcome things a lot quicker. I do heal a lot quicker than, some people. And that, again, is just because of who I am and my frequency. And because I understand, the nature of why I've gone through what I've gone and stuff like that. I don't agree with everything that's happened to me, but I understand. I have a bird's eye, clearer vision, perspective on why I've personally gone through these things. I'm not in victim mentality. I don't sit and dwell Excuse me, guys. Like I say, you kind of get the point. I overcome things very quickly. So yeah, so when I am really struggling and holding on to things that I shouldn't be holding on to, not I say 9 times out of 10. Of course, I still am healing. I still have got trauma. I still get triggered. I still have PTSD. I still have other things and stuff. Like I'm not, I'm not like perfect. Um, and that's okay. We all heal in our own time. But when things come out of the blue, and you're sitting and dwelling on things, small things, and it's not you, then I guarantee it'll be these AI spiders or astral spiders, and not just them, of course. There's many entities. There's the evil eye. People can, send bad energy our way. Just thinking negatively about someone, can attract bad energy towards you, and as well as people purposely directing energy at you as well. So of course, there's all sorts, but with these AI spiders, these astral spiders, they do like to mess with us because they want to keep us in a low vibration. Again, they take our energy, they latch onto our chakra systems, our crown, they mess with our third eye, they harvest our energy, they take our energy, they feed off our energy. And, without all that, they can't exist, they can't survive. So, it's a matter of survival for these beings. So I understand, I didn't make up the rules. God, source, whatever, they've got every right to be here, I guess, just like everything else. They serve a purpose in a sense. But I won't get too deep into that. But and that's what they do, and they can also manipulate your dreams as well. There's another big thing they can manipulate your dreams, and of course they can crawl over you at night. So have you ever been lying in bed, and we've all experienced it, haven't we? And you're like all of a sudden you're itching all over, and it's like something's crawling all over, and you're scratching, and then you're scratching, and you're tickling on your back, and then your arm, and you just it's those guys. It's the astral AI bugs. It's them. And so yeah, many of us can have them on us for years and not realize. But yeah, they hang around in hospitals, especially because as soon as a certain soul is born that comes into this world, they are assigned to those souls, me being one of them, and they're with us. They're with us, and they can scare us when we're kids as well. We can see them, and they can scare us. And I didn't realise at the time that some of the things I saw were them, with the spiders. But, I realised when I saw them a lot more clearer, as my third eye, it got stronger and was more open, I was able to see them. But yeah, there's all sorts, guys. But yeah, don't be scared. What you just need to do is you call them out, and you set intentions and you tell them you are not welcome here. You tell them to do one, and you clear your energy, clear your space, especially like I don't use sage myself. I always say it incorrectly, Palo Santo Palo. I know one of you is going to correct me in the comments. I think it's Salopan. Anyway, the stick, the smudge stick. So I use that. Another good thing is to place high frequency sounds, hertz, blast them around in your house. I don't know, have them on your TV, your phones, your laptops, in every room, and just really put them on. They don't like that. They'll run a mile. Now they could, you could clear your space and that, and they could try and come back and stuff. But as soon as you see them, of course you're going to know they're around again, and then you just do all that again, and you just eventually they'll just get fed up. And the thing is as well, you'll get to a point where your vibration and light becomes that bright and your frequency becomes that powerful. They're scared. They won't even approach you, they won't even come near you, and they'll just go off and they'll mess with someone else, a new awakened soul. So yeah, I just want to make sure I haven't missed anything else, because I do have a tendency. And also I just wanted to miss things and not finish my sentences. So I just want to quickly say, because I've been forgetting to say this. So a lot of you don't watch the videos, a lot of you just listen, and that's fine. But sometimes I will add text or screenshots or something. And so if you're only listening, you're going to miss those as well. So sometimes I have to correct myself, and then I'll use text because I do that sometimes because my mind's fast. I've got a motor mouth. I stumble over my words. I'm always losing my train of thought. I'm back and forth, many of you know, and that's kind of just how my mind is. But yeah. So yeah, with these astral spiders, yeah, there's nothing to be scared of. In fact, they're probably more scared than us. Well, they are. Hence why when you see them, they freeze because like, oh crap, she's not meant to see me, and then they run away. So they are scared, and there are positive ones as well. They seem to be more. They have like more of like rainbow colours, nice vibrant colours, and they can actually feed. They'll just come in. They won't. Well, this is from someone's experience, but I know that they can eat the energy in the house, the bad energy, and they're happy. They'll just go off. But according to one woman, they can feed and actually clear your aura, clear your energy. How amazing is that, guy? How amazing is that, guys? That's pretty cool. And these are like really nice. So again, just like anything in this world, some beings, entities are positive, some are negative. Some humans are arseholes and evil, and some are not. Some Palladians are good, some are really evil. Some Dracos are nice, and some are not. So the same applies with every living thing, really. So yeah, I think that's pretty much what I wanted to say on that. So yeah, let me know, guys. Have you seen these astral spiders? And share with me and everyone else what your beliefs are on them. But that's kind of that's my belief, really. That's my understanding, and of course, it's up to you what you want to believe. So I just want to quickly talk about share with you some experiences that I had. Now, if you've watched a lot of my earlier beginning videos, you'll know that I've shared a lot of my profound experiences with the Dracos, and I've seen them like shapeshift, not only in other dimensions, but in the physical, like in this dimension. So if anyone says, oh, it's just your dreams, I've seen them, guys. They're in my family, and I've seen them shift in front of me. So if you're interested in some of those earlier videos, then yeah, go and check them out. So yeah. So some of these are the less obvious, meaning they didn't show their true form. But again, I'll share these experiences with you just to give you an idea of how they can mess with us and my family. So which one shall I share first? Okay, this one was a pretty big one, at least for me. So I was around 14 years of age, and it was just me and my stepdad in the house. No one else was in. And he was upstairs, and I was actually in the dining room. So they basically the upstairs, the stairs kind of came down, and kind of it led into the dining room. Anyway, so I hear footsteps, and so I'm like, of course I'm like, oh, it's my dad, and he comes down the stairs, and he walks into the dining room, brain fart. And he doesn't look at me, just, he walks by, and then he walks into the kitchen. Because I remember turning to the right, which is the kitchen. So he walks into the kitchen, I watch him, and then he walks into the laundry room, and he just disappears. And then moments after that, I hear footsteps again, and I'm like, someone else is in the house. And so I'm listening, and these footsteps get louder and louder, and they're coming down the stairs, and I'm like, who's this? It's my dad. Yeah. And he basically does exactly what he did the first time. He walks through the dining room, straight past me, into the kitchen, back off into the laundry room. Now, excuse me, guys, if I've already shared this. If I've already shared this, then yeah. The thing is, I've shared my experiences so many times. I've been on quite a few interviews now. I've been interviewed, quite a few times, and I had my old channel as well. So, I often forget what I've shared and what I haven't shared. But anyway. So again, one of the ways that they can mess with you. Now, I believe he just wanted to try and intimidate me, and so this reptilian or Draco, was attached to my stepdad, and actually made my stepdad. He is also part of them anyway. He's definitely a draco reptilian soul. So a lot of humans, if they've got a draco reptilian solar energy, it's easier for these draco reptilian entities, or interdimensional or fourth dimensional reptilian dracos. It's easier for them to latch on and attach onto these people, because it's a match, isn't it? It's a frequency match, energy match. And so yeah, this entity wasn't always on my dad, but when he was, my dad, he was very Jacqueline-eyed, which is that's one of the signs that when someone has an attachment, or if they are part Draco reptilian, very Jacqueline-eyed. And I've met many people like that in my life. Very Jacqueline-eyed, yeah. But anyway, yeah. So when this entity was on my dad, he'd go from a lovely, lovely dad, very loving, very childlike, very pure, to evil, no one behind the seat, no one behind the eyes, just very perverted, evil and disgusting, and basically made him do things to me and my family. And so I believe this was just another way for this entity to affect my frequency, because around that time I really was stepping into my abilities more, if that makes sense. Like I've always been psychic ever since I was a child, with some mediumship in there as well. And so it's puberty as well. So very normal for kids that age to really experience, supernatural things and come into their powers. And I did. I had quite a few abilities. And so again, it was just a way to affect my frequency. And I wasn't scared. So it didn't work. It obviously wanted to scare me. I remember, like it was yesterday, I just remember taking a double take. And I remember just, I was a sort of kid, and I still am that way now. It takes a lot to scare me. I'm very, I don't know, I'm just very resistant. I don't know what the right word is, but I don't scare easily. And so I was just like, okay, that's strange, and carried on, with my day, and I've got so many experiences, but I don't want to keep this video long. So again, it obviously shapeshifted to look like my dad, to try and intimidate me, scare me, and affect my frequency. That didn't work. Again, around the same time, I had a paper round. It would often follow me. It would stand under street lights, show itself. I'd see it as like a black mass figure, and it would start shifting and shaping, shape shifting. I'm struggling, guys. Things like that follow me and intimidate me and scare me and call my name and make its presence known. I'll be honest, I was a little bit scared being outside, especially in the winter on my own, in a very eerie village where it was very paranormal. It was a very haunted, and a lot of paranormal activity going on. So yeah. Another time, I was at my sister's house, and we were sleeping in my sister's room because she got a big room. So me and my daughter had the bed, and my sister had the sofa, which was kind of like at the end of the bed. And there was a huge mirror on the bedroom wall. And I did say to my sister, I said, look, you need to move that mirror. You don't have a mirror in your bedroom. As many of you know, obviously mirrors are portals. And she was like, oh, but I love it. It was huge, guys. So it kind of did unnerve me a little bit, unsettle me a little bit. But anyway, eventually fell asleep. And then I remember my sister on the sofa waking up, and she kind of like sat up, because I'm a light sleeper. So I usually, I'm very hypervigilant even when I'm asleep. And so, I kind of looked at my sister, and she just sits up, and she's just staring. And I'm like thinking, what is she doing? And then she says, Zoe, what are you doing? I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, what are you doing? I says, nothing. I'm just in bed. She went, no, you're not. I says, I am. She says, you're not. She says, why are you stood next to your daughter? See, she said my daughter's name. Why are you stood next to your daughter and why are you sucking her neck? I was like, what? What are you on about? Of course, I looked. I didn't see anything. I couldn't see anything. So I just thought perhaps she was having again, I'm very rational, very logical, very, don't believe everything's crazy. Anyway, I just thought she was dreaming, which I should have known better, really, because she's had quite a lot of weird experiences as well. But I can't help it. My ego's strong when it comes to things like that. Anyway, she went back to sleep. The next morning, I looked at my daughter and I noticed she got dry blood under her eye. And, she's not renowned for having nosebleeds. She doesn't, my other child always had nosebleeds. He is in the MyLab programs as well and has been abducted. He'll figure that one out one day. But yeah, my daughter, no, she wasn't one for nosebleeds. So it was very strange. So yeah, she got dry blood. And I went, what? You've got blood on your nose? And she got up, she went to the toilet. As soon as she got up, her nose just, excuse me, guys, her nose just gushed with blood. It was really bad. And then I remembered what my sister had said, and I knew in that moment it must have been something obviously messing with her. I tuned into the energy, and yeah, it was a reptilian. So my sister said it was sucking her neck. Basically, it was, sucking her energy. It was doing something to my daughter's energy. Because they are energy vampires. This is why they're very controlling and narcissistic and abusive in relationships. They literally drain your life force. I don't know why I've just got hocus pocus. The witches when they're like, sucking the energy of the children. It was like that. And so this bastard, to use my French, was sucking my daughter's energy. And, she had a nosebleed as a result of that. And she was very, very drained and very, very tired, which was very out of the ordinary for her. She was very, very high vibrational, very bubbly, very loving, just full of life. She was not right for a while after that. So again, and it portrayed itself to look like me. Again, it mimicked me. It shape-shifted to look like me. So I guess it did that in hopes that if that my sister would believe it was me. So trying to put the blame on me. No, I was in bed. And yeah. So again, very common. They do this. And what else? Okay, so my brother, again, I was a teenager around the ages of 13, 14. My brother kept waking up. At first, we thought they were just nightmares, but it was the same thing, almost nightly at times. It happened very fast, so many nights in a row, and then it just stopped. But yeah, he'd wake up and he'd scream and he'd say that there was a man stood in the corner of his room, very tall, wearing a dark hooded cloak, and he was speaking this language. And basically, it was a draco or reptilian. I've had so many experiences of these, again, showing themselves in these, hooded cloaks and things like that. And so he was basically casting some kind of spell on my brother, chanting words, and as well, my brother said he could see these unusual. He said all around him, he said he could see like these symbols. I think probably what it meant was his third eye, or we could have quite literally have seen these symbols as well. But anyway, my brother wasn't right after that. Me and my brother, we as siblings do, occasionally squabble, but nothing too bad. But he started changing, and he was not the same person. He wasn't the same kid. He was very angry all of a sudden, very destructive, very suicidal. He was a danger to me and my siblings. Now, I think he was around the age of 10. 9 or 10, somewhere around the ages of that. My mum and myself was just losing it with him. We couldn't control him. And my siblings and myself were scared of him. And he was not only a risk to us, but he was a risk for himself as well. So an example, there were, again, occasionally, I had little squabbles with him, but this was extreme. And he would basically just stare at me like it was staring through my soul. And he had so much hate, like you wouldn't believe, to the point where you're like, what the heck have I done? Like real hate, as if I'd done something terribly wrong to him. And he'd start playing with knives. And then one time, well, this happened a few times, but the first time, he got a knife and he just came gunning for me. Like, he could not stand me, he hated me, and he'd chase me around the house and I'd be screaming. And the one time, I'd ran through the door and slammed the door in his face, because he was literally seconds away from stabbing me in the back, and the knife would end up in the door. And then he'd try and kill himself, jumping in front of cars and things like that. I did say to my mum, look, you need to get help. Of course, at the time, I didn't understand what was going on until remembering what he was saying as a kid, and it just all added up. And the fact that he said he saw, these hooded cloak being, and chanting and symbols. I've had those experiences. That I've had groups like that, and drag my astral body out of my bed and take me to where they are, and they're doing like ritualistic, satanic shit, like crazy stuff. So yeah, I believe they used him to get to me. Now, this is very common. So, if you are a certain soul down here that's got a spiritual mission, again, I keep saying this, but if you are here on an important spiritual mission, if you're here to do good and help assist this ascension and spiritual awakening, then we are up against many groups and many entities and energies. My labs, oh yeah, well, we've got another one down here, meaning a soul not from Earth. All souls aren't from Earth. If you think about it, we all come from source. But what I mean is, my consciousness is not of Earth. Now, a lot of souls and consciousness here right now in their human body are human souls, consciousness, meaning they've only, they've come from source, but they've only ever had human life existence here on this planet. And then, of course, many of there's certain souls and consciousness that come from elsewhere, come from other dimensions, come from other planets and come from other races. I'm one of those souls. And, we're here on an important mission. And, of course, these dark ones, these dracos, reptilians, these demonics, they don't want us here. And but we're here, and so of course we are their number one target. So they will do everything in their power to try and destroy us, or in hopes that through manipulation that we would destroy ourselves and take ourselves out. But they know we're very resilient. They know we're very persistent. They know we're very strong-willed and strong, and they hate that. And the more they put me through, and quite a lot of it, the more they put us through, the more strong, resilient, determined, mad we are, and more passionate we are in, in doing what it is we came here to do. So a lot of the times it backfires. But anyway, you get my point. So they will mess with anyone and everyone. I can't have relationships. Every single one of my relationships have been compromised. Or they have sent certain souls disguised as a twin flame, and I will do a video on that, the false twin flame or the twin flame trap, and I will share with you all my experiences. And again, it will help give you signs and symptoms of of a false twin flame or the twin flame trap, because that's very huge in my life as well. And so, yeah, unfortunately, no one really is safe around me because they do mess with them. And even if they're not in my, if we're not connected physically, they can still mess with these people and put ideas and thoughts and beliefs and feelings into their head as a way to, keep these people away from me. And perhaps some of these people are important to help assist me because we're here as well, assisting each other. The souls that have come elsewhere, we're here to assist each other as well and activate each other. And they don't want us to come together, the star seeds and light workers, they don't want us to come together, because when we come together in peace and harmony and unity, then we can speed things along a lot quicker, and we can connect dots a lot quicker and come into our powers a lot quicker and sooner. So they purposely, cause division between us and cause friction and hostility and paranoia and this and that, and it's really hard. It's very difficult. A lot of star seeds here as well have been compromised, and and they have got attachments. I know because I used to have an attachment. The reptilian that was assigned to my dad, assigned to my family and bloodline. There was many that were assigned. To follow me, especially, and any other star seeds that may have been in my family. I've been not only in this life, I've been in all my past lives here on Earth. So they've been on my back and messed with me right from the get go. Yeah. So, and they followed me through into this life, my frequency, my soul signature, energy. They know who I am, so they can follow me. If I exit this body tomorrow, they'll follow me. But we kind of don't want that, because when I'm done here, I want to go back to my home planet, back to my family, back on the ship, and get there without being hijacked and stuff like that. So yeah, all this stuff goes on all the time, but they don't want us to come together. So unfortunately, because of that, I do keep myself very private in my personal life. I don't entertain relationships of any kind. I will be respectful, and I do love from afar. Although people may see me as being cold, and or why is she disconnected from me, it'd be because I recognise that they've been deceived, infiltrated, compromised, or just because they're just very toxic. And so I recognise these signs, and so sometimes I will share what I see and feel about people. And sometimes I would just go ghost, I'll just disconnect. And half the time they don't need answers, because they know why I've disconnected, because of the way they've been acting towards me. Very Jacqueline-eyed, very, very, very polarized, like extreme, have attachments, or they just see me as a threat or competition and all that. And I don't play games. Oftentimes these people do play games. They gatekeep the key information from you. They'll just play mind games. There can be a lot of passive aggressiveness, a lot of hostility, a lot of threatening, threats and things like that. In an indirect way, when it's aimed at you. So I don't entertain that. I will cut away. And I know these certain energies are still messing, with certain people who I've unfortunately had to disconnect from. The signs were there, but I chose to overlook them and chose to see the good in them, as many souls like myself do. And because of that, we end up getting stung or giving them more chances than they deserve and stuff like that. But, it's a hard lesson. But I recognise the signs a lot earlier now. And but yeah, so I do love and have compassion, empathy for certain souls, even those that have done me wrong. I just love them from afar. I love them from a distance, even though that may look like I'm being cold, to them, but really I'm not. I generally do have a lot of compassion and love for people, because I know that we're being messed with down here, and it's not our fault. But I'm not speaking about those that generally know what they're doing when they purposely go out their way to harm another, and they are purposely playing games, purposely playing mind games and messing with another. I don't really have too much compassion for that, because there's one thing, being manipulated and knowing what's right and wrong, sorry, and then there's another thing, knowing what's right and wrong, so yeah. So yeah, like I say, I'm very private. I am very respectful to you guys in the comments, but I have to be careful because there's agents everywhere. They've infiltrated and manipulated the whole of my life, and yeah, I don't want to give them anything that they can use to affect my energy. I mean, they still affect my energy in other ways, but when it comes to relationships and connections, I won't give them that. And I'm just not ready to go there yet. I don't, like I say, I have huge trust issues. I can be very hostile, very defensive at times, especially when I'm speaking my truth, and that is because, well, it stems from basically not being believed all my life. Going as far back as when I was a kid, but with the abuse, my own mum, my own family not believing in me, my own siblings not believing in me. And because of that, I was caught, the troublemaker. I was outcasted. I was the one that tear the family apart, which is absolutely insane considering that majority of my family, mostly the females, are very malicious and spiteful. Again, we are that bloodline, the reptilian draco bloodline. So the females are very vengeful, very spiteful, very controlling, very malicious, very much like that. The men are very perverted, so they will and have done bad things to their own flesh and blood. There's incest, marrying into the family, sexual, psychological, physical abuse. I believe as well some satanic stuff in there. I'll share that for another video, just because of the things that I've seen in the family. So there's a lot of secrets in my family. A lot of them have skeletons in the closet, and I just never understood, why a lot of my family members, they still close with other family members that have done real bad things to them. Now you could call that Stockholm syndrome, I guess, but I just never understood that. And I've trusted some family members, and I found out some things, and then they attempted med moves on me and said things that's not normal and things like that, so I just had to cut them away. So yeah, many of us are generational curse breakers, me being one of them. The abuse stopped with me, meaning, of course, I didn't continue and abuse my children or treat them badly. Of course, I'm not like my family. I am their genetics, I am their bloodline, but, I'm not my body neither. I am different from them, not better, I'm just different. And I came here to, help break that generational curse that has been in my family right from the get-go. All this abuse, these draco reptilian influence and manipulation, and souls have been in my bloodline, in my family, right from the very beginning. And so I am very defensive, very hostile. I do, when I share some things, because, a lot of things I share, I know it sounds unbelievable. And when you've gone through a life of not being believed, you're going to be that way in nature. You're going to be very protective. And, there are sides to me that are extremely protective. One side is very, says it how it is, very transparent, no filter. She's kind of took a back seat. And there's other sides that are very softer in nature, in energy, and more compassionate and caring and understands. But yeah, no, this other side, this other side to me, is very, very protective of me. And yeah, and will stand her ground and will not let anything come to me. And that's purposely, whenever someone gets close to me, purposely will nip that in the bud, and be like, yeah, no, not happening. There's no one is going to be hurting us. So yeah. likes to destroy things, relationships. May look like she's been evil and stuff, but really she's just protecting us. She self-sabotages a lot, and I understand that, and I do feel that sense that I experience that. Of course, when I say I'm over sides, I mean all of us. Obviously I'm a MyLab. I have alters, not the traditional type alters that you see with dissociative identity disorder, as I mentioned before. It's a little bit more. It's not so apparent, noticeable. MyLabs that have alters, and that's for a reason, because our alters weren't supposed to know each other. Our alters are in these programs. They are MK Ultra. They are being controlled. Many of you know this. And so, we can't be sticking out like a sore thumb and then going to the hospital and getting drugged, and pumped with given loads of drugs and things like that. So, yeah, it's slightly different from the traditional sense, from the traditional dissociative identity disorder. Sometimes I'll shift and you won't even know I'll shift. Sometimes it can be very subtle and things like that. But I am fully aware of these sides of me, and they all have their own personalities. They all have their strengths and weaknesses, abilities, food sensitivities, allergies, interests, their own morals, they're all different. And so yeah, I'm one of the softer ones. Hey guys, I hope you can hear me all right. It's a bit noisy. I forgot to, as usual, when I look back, I'm like, I forgot to say that bit. I'll just wait for this car to go by. So, I was talking about my brother when I was a kid. He was 9 or 10, the one who was being messed with that being reptilian. Reptilian or draco. I know the difference, but because I've had experiences with both, and they both do wear these robes, it's hard to tell which is which, but it felt more draco. And it was obviously doing a spell or a ritual of some kind with my brother, and as many of you know, he wasn't the same after that. And he wasn't. An important bit that I wanted to share was when he grew older. I mean, he's married now, he's a dad, he's in his 30s now, but yeah, when we were still kids, well, I had actually left home. But this one night I stayed at my mum's house, and my brother must have been, how old was it? He was a teenager, he was like 16, 17 maybe, and my younger brother, who shared a room with him, one moment, and my younger brother, who shared a room with him, was under my brother's thumb, meaning and control. So basically my brother, the one who went crazy, was raping my younger brother on more than one occasion, and I witnessed it all. And one moment, yeah, I witnessed it all. They didn't know that I knew, although my younger brother did kind of, we exchanged looks, and it was like, oh, she knows type thing. And so just like a lot of the men in our family, he decided, or was manipulated into doing things that he shouldn't be doing. Sexual abuse, raping his own brother, flesh and blood, full-blooded brother. And it's interesting as well because my mum's exes were the same. A lot of them were Draco reptilian souls, and they had attachments, and they did the same with their brothers when they were younger, and they abused their own children. And a lot of them were very psychopathic, manipulative, controlling, sociopaths. So again, all throughout my family, and it's just absolutely insane how many in one family it can be that way, but it's real. I think that's all I wanted to share. It's a very long video. Yeah, it's an hour long. I've got so many more experiences to share, and I will, do more videos on them. But yeah, I hope you like this video, guys. And if you did, and I'm sorry for I'm doing it now, but I'm sorry for all the stumbling and glitching and all that. It's just because my mind is it's like this, super fast, and my mouth is too slow. It can't catch up with the words sometimes, and it's hard sometimes to operate this body. Yeah, it's a bit of a mismatch sometimes. But anyway, I hope it makes sense, guys. But anyway, guys, if you like this video, give me a thumbs up, leave a nice friendly comment, perhaps share with me or anyone else in the comments your experiences, and I'm going to love you and leave you all, and I'll speak to you in a future upload. Bye, guys.